Aloha mai kako, and welcome to Inspired by Aloha, a podcast dedicated to making your day a little brighter by showcasing that inspirational people and acts of aloha surround us every day. My name is Amy.
And I'm Shareen.
And I'm Erin.
And we are so grateful that you've chosen to spend a few minutes with us as we get ready to be
Inspired by Aloha.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.
Hey, welcome back. We're actually sitting in my living room, so I'm so excited.
It's nice here.
Because sometimes we see each other virtually, and thank you technology. And then sometimes we get to all come together and chat in my really messy living room. Shireen's a bit cold because the AC is still on. You know, it's Hawaii. It's hot outside. So we are here to talk story today. So welcome back to our Inspired by Aloha fans. Yay! Maybe we have more than 3 now.
I think
We
so.
have 5.
We have 5. But we wanted to kind of reflect on a couple of episodes that we've had recently with Kilohana Honey and Big Island Meadery with Vanessa and Devin, and reflect on Erin's fabulous cousin, Kala Thompson, all the way from Australia. Australia.
Yeah, that's like not even the right
Not
accent.
even- oh God, they're like stop.
Australia.
He was doing great things for his community there and helping others in need. So yeah. So what did you think about the about the bees?
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what? I didn't know those things.
So educational.
So educational.
I love speaking with them because just that energy and that love and that enthusiasm about bees and honey, and I learned so much. I think one of my favorite things about the bees was knowing that the kupuna wahine bees are the ones out there doing the work.
Yeah.
You know?
So not
Typical.
surprised.
Yeah.
Typical.
The wahines are doing the work.
That's right.
Well, I didn't know that. And then when she said in the last stage of their life, they're out flying and gathering. I always thought that was the young bee.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now when I see a bee out and about, I'm like, oh, thank you, Auntie.
I know. Thank you, Tutu. Thank you, Tutu, for doing that for us. Right?
Yeah.
And how they have stages of development where when they're first born, they're like their job is to clean their room and then they progress to the next level of taking care of the hive, and then they progress to where they can go outside.
Right.
So smart.
It is
Just
a community.
Such a community. And then that poor queen bee just working all day, 24/7, just pumping out, like, what was it, 2,000 eggs or something? It was like a lot of eggs.
lot.
Like, oh, bendito, she
Well,
must be so tired.
I knew that a bee's life wasn't long, but I didn't know that the queen lives long. She could live like what, 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
And the other ones was like 6 weeks. See, look at us.
Fast.
We learned so much. We're just like spouting
6 to
off.
8 weeks, right? But it makes me now it makes me think like, wow, if somebody calls you a queen bee, it really means something different to me now. You know, that is really a resilient insect, the bee, the queen bee. I mean, she's poteen. It's timing, right?
And they're so important to our environment. Like they help to, pollinate and make the fruits and the vegetables, and I mean, or maybe not vegetables, just fruits.
Pollinate.
Yeah, pollinate.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
It's good
So,
for olive egg.
it's for everything, right?
flowers.
Olive egg. Yeah.
All of it.
So
Yeah, but I never realized what a critical state Hawaii was in at some point.
right.
And I didn't know why. So when they explained about the virus and the bad insect, the beetle, whatever it was that was destroying hives and colonies, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But it's just like, oh, how come no more bees around? You know, and then the whole grassroots effort of
Right, to
small,
restore it.
of small beekeepers. Some of it hobbyists. Well, they were a hobby beekeepers. They wanted to do their part to, give back and start to develop bee colonies.
Right.
Yeah.
It really makes you think that if you really want to do something and you band together, you can make a difference, right? They did. They just took it upon themselves to learn how to be a beekeeper. They banded with the community, and now they're leaders in it. So, yeah, they do great work.
I think the other interesting part was they have a beekeepers association, and that there wasn't any really like a county or state. Well, I guess county rules for them because they're in Hawaii Island, but county rules on beekeeping, and it was all kind of falling in various areas of ag rules. So advocating for specific rules for beekeeping so that people could have hives and apiaries on their property. So I was kind of looking at what the status was of the last bill. I think that they were talking about when we interviewed them a few months ago, and it was, I think it's past certain levels of passing, and I think it needs the mayor's signature or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa and Devin, but the point is it's moving forward so that they can support the bee community, the apiary community, on Hawaii Island, and an example for others around Hawaii, which I think is awesome.
I really loved going to visit Kilohana Farms and Big Island Meadery. When you go there, it just feels like warm honey and love, and it's education. Like in their storefront, they have all these different facts about bees. So everything is educational, everything is sustainable. They're just so thoughtful in how they've laid out their whole business, and you can just tell it's hard work. You can tell that they're working so hard, but they love this work that they do. You can just feel that when you meet them.
Yeah, even the design elements of the meadery and the place that they're at, they have, it looks like a geometric design, but it's actually the hive.
Like
it's
a
actually the
honeycomb or
hexagon of the
something, right?
honeycomb.
Yeah.
And Devin using the wood of fallen trees to make tables and the tasting
beautiful.
trays and the different elements, the wood shelving. It's so pretty.
Yeah, there's good mana in that space.
But the education is neat. They have all these posters up and tell you about bees and what they do, and then the meadery, the actual honey wine, the mead that they produce is really neat because then they're combining local ingredients, local whatever's in season to the honey, and then you get all different tastes of honey wine, and it's actually pleasant to drink.
Yeah,
I was going to ask if you tried it while you were there.
It is. Erin doesn't drink.
I'm not a big drinker. Well, I said, I either don't drink or I do tequila shots. So it's one or the other. But
you could add honey
was really good.
You can add honey to your tequila.
Oh, nice.
Well, we talked about it in the podcast about the use of the invasive species, the albizia flower pollination to create a really tasty,
amazing
delicious
honey. It's my favorite.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. It's kind of caramelly, and it's very.
Yeah.
That's not even a word, but it's very good. It's delicious.
To find ways to use invasive species, that sounds so horrible, but I had a student just talk to us about a restaurant initiative, a chef's culinary initiative to use invasive fish that I always thought was a native reef fish, but it's not, the ta'ape. It's invasive species, but it's good eating fish.
What is it called?
Ta'ape.
Ta'ape.
Yeah.
Have you had that, Shareen? No, I've
No.
never had that.
So he's a diver, so he said, "Oh yeah, it tastes pretty good. It's kind of a light white fish," and he said, "But yeah, it's bad for the reefs. It's bad for they kind of bully and they kick out the."
I don't
the
like
native
bullies.
home. So he says, so if we eat them, if we eat them, then we help the population, right? And so to make honey, beautiful honey from albizia, and I always wondered, like it was funny. We asked them, right, like, how do you know where the bees are going, right? Like,
What kind of honey you'll
and
get.
then they know. Yeah, like them say, "Oh, we know." We kind of follow them and like, "What?" Oh,
that's so funny. I think we're talking about, if it's a macadamia nut honey.
Right.
So Amy was like, "Do you put like macadamia nut flavoring or something?" And it's like, no, it's from the trees that they go to. But I didn't know that either.
I was clueless.
Me too. We really learned a lot.
I felt so silly, and they don't make you feel silly when you ask the weird questions, I'm like, so you add macadamia nut like extract into your and then the giggle. goes and go, oh no, it means that they're pollinating from the macadamia nut
Right.
tree flower.
I'm sure our listeners are like,
And I'm
okay,
like,
we knew that. How come
Yeah.
you didn't know that?
Yeah, I do think the kids are learning that in elementary school now, but we didn't learn that.
right.
But
Kids are great.
And it's seasonal, right? So it depends on when they are going out to those different trees, what kind of honey they'll get.
Right,
Right.
right.
And so I'm like, oh, that's how you know kind of what kind of honey you're, is it harvesting the right word?
Yeah, I guess so.
I wonder how
Yeah.
the bees pick, like, what trees they go to. Or is it, are you
Season.
saying, oh, because, like,
Yeah.
what's blooming.
Yeah, what's
Type-
blooming
Oh,
in the
okay.
season.
All right.
Yeah.
Learning taking place right now.
Well, you know, I think naively, like years ago, when they were just doing their like hobbying, honey production, I had asked Vanessa like, oh, could I get more of the lehua honey? And then
That's
she
my
said,
favorite.
well, we're running low on that supply, and it's all about whether or not the bees will pollinate from the lehua. And I, you know, and I'm still not getting it right. Oh, and she goes, yeah, because you know we have that ohia rapid
Right.
death thing over here, and so there's less lehua blossoms, although things are coming back. And I was like, oh, right,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm still over here going clover honey, right?
Little bear.
Yeah, I'm a little bear. So for me, I mean it's intriguing to me. It's something that I never really made the effort to understand how what honey is really, I guess, and how that was produced.
The
you know?
process that it takes to get it to the jar.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, and all the products that you can make from honey, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
I would like to be a beekeeper. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of still scared to get stung. But, I mean, I think that would be neat, right? I don't know if you can you have, like, a beehive, like, just in the backyard?
Well, that's what their
Ah,
legislation was advocating for,
Right.
right? So that
You have to have it kinda
yeah, because
a lot
it
of
had
space,
now the
right?
restriction is like so far from the road or whatever. But to be able to have
Oh,
more
yeah.
flexibility to do that, but I don't know. I don't know what Honolulu County law
You
ordinance
probably couldn't
is,
do it,
but
like, in the little
I
backyard
think
in Mililani.
but I think you can. Well,
It depends.
I would think that I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
How big?
I don't know.
Your
not
neighbors would be
sure.
like, oh, my gosh, there's all these bees.
But yeah, if you're gonna do them, Erin, let us know.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't
But I'm
know.
gonna buy the bee suit.
I know.
Because bees love me, you know. Well, I don't know. Like, they always fly around me. I don't know why that is.
Bees and skeeters.
Bees and mosquitoes. But
Yeah.
mosquitoes don't produce anything that we could eat.
So anyway, the bees.
They're just annoying. The mosquitoes I guess they have a function. I'm not sure what the mosquitoes function. Oh, someone's gonna now comment and say what the mosquito function is.
That would be good. I'd like to learn.
But yeah, and then the community part that they do.
Yes. Yeah. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know, they create that community of bees, right? Because the bees have their community, but they also welcome into their meadery different types of people or classes or courses like Zumba and lei
Yeah.
making and
Yeah.
I don't know, ukulele. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I saw that.
Yeah, they
But-
had
yeah.
all kinds of. I think this. I was just looking. They have well, I forgot what you call it, but like a Christmas wreath. Sorry, a holiday wreath.
Oh, yes.
The classes. Yeah, it's neat. They have that big
beautiful.
space, and then they support all these food businesses. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is wonderful.
So they're like their own little hive too for their community.
Yeah, yeah.
No joke. They're one of my favorite places to go to. Like, I think every time I go to Hawaii Island, I'd want to go and visit. Like,
Yeah.
really, it was a really good feeling there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, we took a group with our teachers, yeah, and they had a great time.
They loved it there, too.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
a great time. And then, I didn't know, right? It's like, wow, there's so many flavors of honey. I felt better that I wasn't the only one. I was clueless about how honey is made, you know. So yeah, and the entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've met some really amazing people who are taking initiative and risk to do what they do. You know,
Hey.
like I've always just worked for somebody, you know. Well, I'm looking at Shareen. She's
know,
our
I was just
she's
like,
the
you're
entrepreneur
our
on our
entrepreneur.
table. Right.
Well, just taking your passion, right? And they had their passion for the environment, for agriculture, from when Vanessa was small, right? They were working out
Yes, that's true.
on the farm, in the fields.
Yeah.
But yeah, taking that passion and turning it into something that you can perpetuate
Yeah.
and help other people with
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So when we think about being inspired by aloha, the aloha that they extend to so many things in their business model. Yeah. To the environment, to the bees,
Yes.
to the community, to
The
other
customers.
businesses,
Yeah.
to the visitors, to the residents that come and visit with them. Just wow.
And even the state. I mean, the whole state, the legislation. That
Yeah.
they're doing.
When you think about that, yeah.
Impactful on so many levels.
Yeah.
What they do.
Yeah. And the two of them individually, just really wonderful people.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I was
So
so yeah. It just makes you feel good to talk to them.
You can just tell that they have found their passion. I think people on Hawaii Island, they're just special, don't you think? I mean, because like they give so much of themselves to their community. And then we had another guest that was Hilo Boy,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Who, from Hawaii Island, another one, and that was Keala Thompson, who started off in Hilo and is now an international speaker and also does retreats and advising and support groups, and he's working out of Australia now. Again, they start off in Moku o Keawe and on that island and giving to their community, and then they end up doing really good things for the world, right? So so Keala was interesting to talk to. He's my cousin, so I'm totally biased. I've always so admired him from the time we were young. He's always been a deep thinker, comes from a beautiful family of 8 kids with my Uncle Melvin and Auntie Priscilla. And they're all like so successful, super bright, super loving family. And just to see him thrive and find his passion. So Shareen, you're talking about, right? Like, Vanessa and Dennis, they found their passion, and Keala has too. And I think that's so important to find something that resonates with you, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can take that out into the world and people see it and they're drawn to it. It's very magnetic.
Ooh, magnetic. Ooh. That is, that's.
Yeah. In fact, I think that was one of the things that Keala is doing now in his KT advising company is that he's focusing on mentoring others, right? And helping them. Like he was saying something like, oh, don't do what I do. Find your story and your passion and tell that story. So I think sometimes that's the hardest part is figuring out what is our passion, what's our story, so that we can then share. Like, what's our niche? Niche?
Niche.
Niche?
Is
Yeah.
it niche?
I said
Niche.
niche or
It's
niche,
niche?
but it's niche.
Hi. Yeah.
We're not coming across very educated on this
Yeah, I was
session,
just gonna
on this episode. We don't know about bees. We don't know how to say niche. Niche. Oh my God.
Is it niche?
I think it's niche. Anyway, you guys get find your passion. Figure out what you like to do.
Yeah.
We know that.
We know that.
Find your spot.
Find your spot. Find your purpose
We
in
don't
this
know
world.
if it's niche or niche.
Find your purpose in the world.
Sounds so fancy. Niche.
Yeah. That's hard though, right? Like to figure out what it is that, like Amy, what is your passion?
I think why I'm still giggling about I don't know. Like, what are we passionate about? I'm still kind of giggling about that. Well, look at the essence of our podcast, right? About being inspired by aloha and meeting people who are doing beautiful things for Hawaii. I think for all of us, that's a passion for us, right?
Right.
Is how are people perpetuating aloha in your own life and in the things that you do? Because ultimately, all of us want this place to be a better place,
Right.
right? And we all have something to contribute to that. So I think that, I was gonna say I'm passionate about white rice, but we're not really talking about that. We're talking about rice. I think because I dreamt about rice last night. Isn't that crazy? Maybe it's because I haven't eaten rice in a while.
Brown rice, white rice.
white rice.
White rice.
from
White rice,
Japan. But being passionate about people, I think all of us are passionate about people. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I saw with our guests, right? With Vanessa, Devin, and Kiala, that they found their passion. They found their purpose, at least at this point in their life. They may have other purposes as they move on in their life, but at this point, they found what they want to do, and they're helping the community in various ways. So I think that's just so admirable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Hawaii Island. Right?
Yeah.
So
Way to
okay,
go.
so what about Shareen? Because you asked me what's my passion.
What's
So
your
what about
passion,
Shareen?
Shareen?
I think my passion, like you had said, is to help people, right? I want to help people. I want to help people feel good, do good, and also feel well as well. So I think I just said that already, but but just that passion. There's so much that we do, and trying to narrow it down in terms of what our specific passions are. It's hard sometimes because we want to do everything, but underlying passion, I think, is helping others. Helping others. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Erin, about you?
I think that's why we're such close friends too. I think we're all similar in that. When I've thought about what I want my purpose to be, I think it's silly, but it's like to bring more love or peace into the world. I think that's what I'd like to do. I know.
I'm making the
Make
hand
a
with the
little
heart.
hand I
Making
know.
the hand heart.
I know it sounds corny, but that's what. But I think it's you guys are such baboozes. I tell you, they're making like
hand
hand
hearts. That's
hand
what we're doing.
signals.
Uh-huh. Well,
All right.
it was your idea I mean, I think that transcends to this podcast's purpose. You wanted a platform for people to hear good stories and feel peace and happiness and love about that there are things that are still good out there. There are people that are doing good things. And if the stories of our guests and the stories that we share inspire others to be better,
Yeah.
and isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
There's enough light being shined on the things that are challenging and hard and difficult in life that we need a little bit more of the good stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Shifting people's focus, right, on the good that's out there.
Right. You know, I've been really bad about checking our Inspired by Aloha emails. So I don't know if there are emails in there. Maybe there are. If they're not, it's
Maybe
okay.
there are.
Maybe they're not. And it's okay too. So sorry if you sent an email to us a long time ago and it's still there. Maybe it's because we haven't checked it. But, you know, and then Shareen sometimes sees the comments on our Instagram. But, you know, I'm going to do a shout out to our college fan, Macy.
Oh,
So
Macy.
I know she's going to listen to this. But, you know, the passion for this podcast and the people that we asked to speak on it, our hope is that it inspires others to see life better. And so you know, Macy, she listens to our podcast while she's studying, or if she's had a rough day. You know, she said the content and the energy of the podcast makes her feel better.
Aw, we appreciate
Right?
it, Macy.
So thank you, Macy.
Thank you,
I
Macy.
shared your card with Shareen and Erin here, and so
Yeah.
now you're probably giggling because we're talking about you on the podcast. But
Good luck with your studies.
yes. But you know, so that's beautiful. So when we think about what Keala is doing through his own life, like he had shared about his own struggles, about going through dark periods in his life that have become reflections for him. It's you know, helped him to be the person that he is today.
Right.
And so when he meets people in need that had the same need that he had or has been through, that he is able to mentor and guide them to be in a better place.
Right.
Which is beautiful. I think sometimes the hardships of our life, as hard as junk as they are, actually help us to grow.
That's right. And help us to be empathetic to others. You know, Keala definitely has that gift of being able to take something that was challenging or difficult for him and to turn it into something beautiful and supporting others through that pain. You know, so he has a way of just turning things around and creating safe spaces for, especially for men, you know, to come together, or men and couples to come together,
Right.
to not be afraid to share their emotion. I think a lot of times in society, maybe it's getting a little bit better now, but, you know, men have sometimes been taught to, you know, be hard or be strong, don't cry.
Right.
There's no crying in baseball or whatever, right? And stuff,
Yeah.
and that's too bad, because we're human. Emotions are valid. What you feel is valid. It doesn't matter what gender you are. You're a human. So normalizing that, I think, and creating that safe space so that men can really be whoever they are, I think that's important.
Yeah, that was pretty inspiring to hear him talk about, his work with men and the positive impact, right? His mentorship and guidance helps for men to overcome their hardships and be even stronger and better than they were before. So, but sometimes you have to face those emotional things that many people don't want to face, right? Like we were raised to not face those. Let's just ignore them and stick them under the carpet, right? But then that's not entirely healthy. So, I mean, we think about our generation today, the Gen Zs of the world, and we were talking before this podcast about I am inspired by the young people of today that are willing to be transparent and that are willing to share and be who they are. And not as worried as we were when we were young.
Just radically accept who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but hardships, that, I feel old because we've all been through stuff in our life,
You're
and
not
so,
old. You're wise.
But yeah, wise. But when we hear some of the challenges that our young people go through, right? I think our response to it, in our generation, our response to a young person's hardship is more understanding, I think, than when we had hardships and our elders were responding to our hardships. It was like,
suck it up,
suck it
buttercup.
up. Yeah. Right?
What you crying for?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll give you something to cry about now. Yes. Yeah. But I think now, right, and bless our elders, right? Bless them,
Right.
because every generation is different, right?
Absolutely.
But for us now, in us hearing, we're willing to hear more. Willing to hear what is a root issue that you're working through, and how can we help you to be better and make the decision that you need to make. I was just talking to somebody the other day and struggling, right? A student of ours struggling with just emotional stuff. And she said, well, what's the answer? I said, I don't have the answer. I said, the answer is within you, but you need to discover what that answer is for you. I said, but have grace upon yourself.
Absolutely.
To not have the answer today. And you don't have to have the answer today. You can work through and really think about what that answer should be. But yeah, for me, that's not how we were raised, right? So you need to have the answer now. So I think we are shaped by the things that we've been through, right? So like for Kiala's story, right? He is shaped by the things that he's been through.
Right.
And that in itself helps him to guide and direct the people that come to him. Which is beautiful.
And use it for good.
Yeah.
So great work. I was thinking about what you were saying about how you're talking with that student. And I think and again, we generalize sometimes like Gen X or Gen Z or millennials or whatever, but I do think that what the youngest generation right now is really teaching, at least me, is just that awareness that we have about where we came from and how we were the suck it up buttercup, generation, and that doesn't work, and or each individual has to be treated individually, right? Like personalized attention, personalized needs. So if someone's having real emotions, I think for myself, I tend to try and fix it because I don't want to see someone unhappy. I don't want to see them uncomfortable. And so I'm just like, okay, we can fix it. Like, and I realize in myself that I have in the past not allowed time for that emotion to just be and to let them just express it and be okay and sit in it, and give it time to just to feel it instead of rushing to a solution or rushing to save it. And I'm starting to realize that it's just as important to let people feel and be and process through those hard emotions as it is to come up with what are our next steps now, you know, so not rushing to solutions. So that's something that I've learned from the youngest generation. So I thank them for that. So
That's good.
I love that.
That's good.
Because even like with my son, right, to have someone who wants to sit down, Mom, I got to talk to you. And he tells me his story. And I'm like, okay, so I can listen to it. And as a parent, you want to fix it. Exactly what you said. And I've worked with other people as well who have experienced loss and just have that feeling of sadness. And they feel bad that they can't get out of that sadness. And so what we tell them, or what I tell them, is you feel it, right? Just like Erin said, you feel it. It's okay to feel it, but we don't want you to live there, right? We want to find a way for you to be able to move from that. And there'll be moments of those feelings that come up again. It's okay. Feel it, but then make sure you're not living in it, you know, moving forward out of it. And eventually when they are able to rise above that into the light, they can use their experience to help others, just like Kiala did, right? He has his experience, and look what he's doing. Amazing things in Australia and internationally, and just helping so many people rise.
Yeah. And I think it's wonderful that he has, that he makes himself available to help those in need, right? And I think that's a great message, that all of us in some point of our life could use some help.
And be open to it.
And be open to it. And that there are the Kealas out there that are gifted to help you move through whatever difficulty you're in. Or maybe you're in a rut and you can't see what's good for you in the future, and you have a coach that helps you to see find your passion, right? And move forward. You know, it makes me think about people like Kiala, or like Pastor Abby, who I had spoken with previously, right? About how you know, they help people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's okay to ask for help.
Yes. Yes.
Aloha aku, aloha mai.
Exactly.
Right? You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and I think sometimes, I don't know, maybe sometimes it's harder to accept help. You know, because like I don't want to be a burden to anybody, or like I can do this on my own. But I think in accepting it, that is the give and take of life. And when you can accept that help, then you can rise to a level where you can now help more people. You know, so it's almost like you have to give to yourself in order to be able to give more to others. So it's okay.
Because your story will help lots of people too. Right? Your story will help people realize that they're not alone, that they have someone. And there's so many people that hold safe spaces for you to come and talk to them and have help.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, that was good. That's a mic drop right there.
Sorry. But there are, there are beautiful people in this world that can help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
We've been so lucky to be able to talk with and learn from people like Vanessa and Devin and Kiala and all the guests that we've had. We've really benefited from this. So even if we only have 5 listeners or whatever it was, you know, it's good.
Yeah,
it makes a difference for us.
Keep so many people.
They're helping us with our mission too, right? To perpetuate aloha.
Yeah.
So that people are inspired by what they do, and therefore we can share that with you too.
It's been good for us. Yeah.
So thank you for being on this journey with us. Again, thank you to our amazing guests from Kilohana Farms, Big Island Meadery, Vanessa and Devin, and then from KTN Vising, Keala Thompson. Just so grateful to have been able to learn about your mo'olelo, your stories, and how you folks are all making a difference in this world.
Absolutely.
Mahalo.
Yeah, mahalo.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
See you again. Hui ho.
Ma'alama pono.